welcome to another episode of the Audio Elgin podcast. This is your host, Abigail Fritz, and today I'm speaking with Debbie Haisler. Debbie is going to be telling us about the many years of experience she has had as both an Elgin school teacher and as the co-owner of the Leo Sound Company. Could you start by telling me where you were born?
I was born in San Antonio, and then went to college at Glenn, then to San Marcos, where I met my husband. And we married in 75, and in 76, we were both hunting for teaching jobs. Mm-hmm. And we put in applications. We wanted to be in Central Texas.
Yeah.
Because my husband was in the music business. So we both got interviewed here in Elgin, got our jobs the same day in August of 1976.
And which school were you teaching at?
I started, it was called the Elgin Elementary, I think, or primary, Elgin Primary. And I was the third kindergarten section and a new section. There had only been 2 kindergarten teachers there up until that time. So I've seen it go through lots of changes.
Yeah.
And of course, that was an older building and it burnt down in 1981.
Was it still in use as a school at the time that it burned down?
Yes, it burned down during Christmas. It was very sad. We were not on campus at the time. It happened during the night. They think that maybe rats or something, gnawed at wires. It was an older building and several different ceilings, and that's what caused it where they could not get the fire out because it had so many different levels, and it burnt to the ground.
What did the school district do?
We divided up all the classes, and we went to the churches, and we taught in the Sunday school rooms. And I and the other 2 kindergarten teachers and 2 sections of first grade were at the Catholic church. And some were here at the Baptist church and just all the different churches around town.
How long did it take for the district to build a new school?
Well, we had to hurry up and pass them on. And I think it took 2 years.
So 2 years of teaching in Sunday school classes?
Yes.
And how long were you a teacher?
33 years, kindergarten the whole time. My husband taught 6th grade science, and he drove the school bus. In fact, when we came in to sign our contracts, when we were first hired, the superintendent, Dr. Thompson, he had talked to us enough that he knew that my husband had driven big trucks. Mm-hmm. And so he asked him, he said, "Do you have a CDL license, Mr. Haisler?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Would you like to drive a school bus?" He said, "If you drive a school bus, you won't have to go to those after-school meetings, teacher meetings." And so he did. He started driving the bus then, and he hasn't stopped the whole time.
Could you tell me about your current business and about your transition from teacher to business owner?
My husband was playing in a dance band when we married, and it was a family band. Mm-hmm. And people got older, they got out of high school and split up. But at the time, we had purchased the speakers and the mixing board and all that. And so when the family band split up, we decided to form our own sound company. And we did. And we named it Leo Sound. Some friends of ours had a band, and they needed a PA. And so we started running sound for them. Then it kind of progressed, and we kept up with what was going on in the industry. That band split up. Mm-hmm. And then we moved to another band called Bubba Cox and Easy Going. And Bubba Cox himself also owns the Cotton Club. We worked for his band for like 5 years. He was a lot more popular than the other bands we had worked with.
Yeah.
And he played at a lot of fairs and nightclubs and stuff, bigger clubs. One of them being like the Lumberyard that used to be in Austin. And when they found out that he had a sound company, clubs would book Bubba for the opening act, for big name acts. So people like Sleep at the Wheel, Steve Warner, Shelley West, a lot of big name acts we started working with through Bubba. At that time, they were just getting into it, and sound systems weren't real big, and they weren't paying very well.
Yeah.
And of course, they were trying to do the same price they would for him to do the opening act.
Yeah.
And we would work extra. So then we had to, kind of go through that transition of leveling out the pay scale because of the amount of time that we would have to spend. Basically, we just kind of grew and grew and grew and decided to go out on our own and just do contract work for Sound and Lights. And we got to do something really cool And Etta Mae Carter used to be she's passed now, but she was at the Elgin Bank. And we needed a loan for a mixer we were wanting to buy.
Yeah.
And to keep up with the times. And she had us really explain to her what it was so she could take it to the board to ask for the loan, And when she found out we were going to be going with Sleep at the Wheel a bunch and that we were going to be going to Washington, D.C. when President Bush Sr. was president, he had a Texas festival one summer. And when they found out we were doing that, they were like, okay, you're legit. You've got the loan. But we had the honor of doing 13 shows in the Kennedy Center and parking our big tractor trailer rig underneath the Kennedy Center for like a week and a half, to do those shows. And so doing that, we got to work with like Willie Nelson and all kinds of people. But through the years as a sound company, we have had the opportunity to work with Dolly Parton and George Strait and just a lot of legends, Ray Price, Glenn Campbell, the list goes on.
Do you have any memorable stories from the events that you worked at?
There's one really good memorable story. Mel Tillis. He's a country artist. He's passed now, but he was very famous for his stuttering, and he had a club in Branson for years. Then he started getting some fan mail that said, "We love your lighting show." And to him, that was almost an insult. He wanted people coming for his music and his stories and his performance, not the lighting show. And so he decided to take his band back on the road. And at this time, they're probably in their late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
So they haven't been on the road for years. They've been at the club at Branson, and we got the opportunity to work with them. Their first big show out of Branson, and it was in Belleville, Texas, at the Austin County Fair. We got all set up for the band. The band starts coming in, and these older guys are coming in with their little amps and their guitars, and stuff. And they come and they put them on stage, and the sound engineers and everybody, they're helping unload the truck and their trailer and stuff and get their equipment in. And they look around, and it's a county fair. All the food booths are out, the corny dog and all that stuff. And they look around, they say, "We'll be back." And they just take off. And the sound man comes on stage and he said, "Where'd they go? We need to get set up so we can do our sound check." And in about 5 minutes, here come all the older guys, like I said. And here they've got their fried Twinkies and their corny dogs and all this fair food. And they were just so happy to be back at a county fair again where they had all that junk food.
For my last question, I'd like to turn the conversation back to Elgin itself. Could you tell me about your first impressions of the city?
It's like a family. That's the best thing I can say. I mean, it was a lot like my hometown, Helotes, growing up. And so it's a small town. Everybody was friendly. Everybody greeted you. Here I was at the primary school teaching kindergarten. And I had a teacher from the junior high bring me flowers my first day of school to welcome me. Things like there was a lady that lived here in Elgin. She's also passed, Jonita Mundy. She was a very good baker, and she made homemade cinnamon rolls for our convocation when the superintendent gives you the pep talk. And we could all fit in a room the size of the elementary school cafeteria. All of the employees for the district could fit in that little room, in that little cafeteria. And you met more, and you got to know some people from other campuses, even though you didn't work with them daily because it was so small.
It's been a great experience living here in Elgin. We've made lots of wonderful friends here through the years and just enjoyed the community and growing with it.
That was Debbie Haisler speaking about her time in the Austin music scene and as an Elgin school teacher. If you'd like to learn more about Elgin's history, you can check out the rest of the Audio Elgin podcast, or you can visit us at the Elgin Depot Museum, which is located on Elgin's Main Street and is open Wednesdays through Fridays from 10 to 2.